Torji online. Able. You need good hearing too, because if someone is trapped in a building, you need to be able to hear them shouting. Ability. Your eyesight is your ability to see. About. Understanding a radio interview about emotional intelligence. What are you thinking about? Why is it important to communicate regularly with people we care about? About. I can use the present and past tenses to talk about different actions. A recent study in the UK revealed that only about 25% of adults in the UK can hold a conversation in a foreign language. Accept. Remember that you can form your own opinion, rather than uncritically accepting what the author has to say. He's so bigoted that he refuses to accept anyone who thinks differently from him. Above. In pairs, look at the photos above and discuss what emotions you think the people are feeling. According. Why, according to the writer, are Shakespeare's plays still valid today? Account. My salary is paid directly into my bank account. Across. In many countries across the world, crime has been dropping steadily. This may be due to better education, or perhaps to a reduction in extreme poverty. Act. She'll turn up at 11 o'clock and act as if nothing's wrong. Action. We use the past simple for actions that started and finished at a specific time in the past. Actions speak louder than words. Activity. There's been a lot of activity in the town centre today. In the past, temperature changes were gradual and caused by natural factors such as solar activity and volcanic eruptions. Actually. The temperature is actually cooling rather than heating up. Add. Look at the phrases describing ways of behaving towards other people. Are these positive or negative things to do? Can you add any other phrases? Add. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the words in brackets. Add extra words where necessary. In addition to. In addition to this, Shakespeare shaped what we know about history and historical figures. Additional. I can use defining and non-defining relative clauses to give additional information. Address. Consequently, the government planned to set up regulations to address these angers and strictly control how it is used. Before letting it, the balloon, loose, she attached a note which carried the message, "Please return to Laura Buxton," together with her address and phone number. Admit. Even if we assume that only 3% of the world's population fly, we must admit that such high percentage of global emissions is brought by a relatively small group. They later admitted that the reports were not true, but by that time, sales of the newspaper had increased dramatically. Adult. A recent study in the UK revealed that only about 25% of adults in the UK can hold a conversation in a foreign language. Affect. The issues that most affect you. After. A criminal, John Torrell, was caught after he had escaped on the train to London. Telegram was sent to the London police, and they were waiting for him when he arrived there. Again. Read the article again and choose the correct answers. Against. The allegations against him are shocking, but he denies all of them. I was very surprised to hear that there are protesters who are against the plan. Age. It took me ages to figure out exactly how to use the telescope. And finally, life expectancy is already higher than it's ever been, and as a result of better medicine, people are likely to live until the age of 100. ago. Many people today feel that relationships between members of the same family are not as close as they were a few generations ago. The airport was closed 2 days ago because someone had phoned to say there was a bad storm coming. Luckily, it was only a hoax. Agree. Read the article and study active reading. What opinions about communication does the author express? How far do you agree with him? Social media is a good thing because young people have more friends in more places than ever before. Do you agree? Agree. Would you agree that families have less quality time together than in the past? Agreement. Expressing agreement. You're spot on. That's what I was going to say. Absolutely. Ahead. Looking ahead. Air. Although air travel is more popular than ever, only 3% of the world's population chose this means of transportation in 2017, and only 18% have ever done so. All. The phone rings all the time now that we run a business. I've been calling Malek all day today. We will also need to produce more food, and it is unlikely that we will be able to produce enough meat to feed all those people without further damaging the environment. Allow. Taste buds are the tiny bumps on your tongue that allow you to recognize flavors. Almost. Are you ready yet? The guests will be arriving soon. It's almost 7 o'clock. Alone. The blue whale is critically endangered. Blue whales are solitary animals, preferring to travel alone or in small groups. Along. I first spotted him walking along the beach. Already. By lunchtime yesterday, I had already drunk 3 bottles of water. And finally, life expectancy is already higher than it's ever been, and as a result of better medicine, people are likely to live until the age of 100. Also, active listening can also help you to avoid conflict. Although people are also using AI more and more in everyday life, and although it might make many aspects of life easier, it could also make things worse, especially for our children. Always. My science teacher is very good at getting across difficult ideas so that we always understand them. AI search engines do not always use reliable sources, and so information provided by AI might be incomplete or even wrong. American. To show that Americans don't believe fiction. Among. The threat faced by the pangolin, however, is far from accidental. They are more often targeted by poachers than any other animal in the world. Unique among mammals, it is covered in scales, like a reptile. Amount. Much of this plastic is a result of unnecessary packaging. It is vital that this is reduced as much as possible. Some supermarkets have managed to cut the amount of plastic packaging by using sustainable cardboard instead of plastic, or simply by removing unnecessary plastic from tissue boxes, pizza boxes, and other items. I would ask you to investigate alternative forms of packaging for your products as a matter of urgency. Amount. I urge you to consider these possible solutions very seriously, and do everything in your power to reduce the amount of plastic you use in packaging, to protect the planet. Analysis. I can write an analytical essay. Ancient. In ancient times, they used smoke signals, and after writing developed, they invented more ingenious methods of delivering messages, for example, sending a message in a bottle. And I can use the present and past tenses to talk about different actions. Above. In pairs, look at the photos above and discuss what emotions you think the people are feeling. Animal. The threat faced by the pangolin, however, is far from accidental. They are more often targeted by poachers than any other animal in the world. Unique among mammals, it is covered in scales, like a reptile. What do you think would happen if we could talk to animals? Another. We use the past perfect, had found, for an action in the past that was completed before another action or time in the past. Answer. In small groups, ask and answer the question. Read the article again and choose the correct answers. Any. The threat faced by the pangolin, however, is far from accidental. They are more often targeted by poachers than any other animal in the world. Unique among mammals, it is covered in scales, like a reptile. Anyone. A. Don't tell anyone my secret, will you? B. Of course not. He's so bigoted that he refuses to accept anyone who thinks differently from him. Anything. He will do anything for a quiet life. Not get a word in edgeways means to be unable to say anything because someone else is talking all the time. Get a word in edgeways. To get a chance to speak, he talks so much that no one else can get a word in edgeways. Not to be able to get a word in edgeways, edgewise. Appear. Shakespeare appears to have invented between 2,000 and 3,000 words. Apply. I found it hard to come to terms with the fact that my job application had been rejected. Approach. You should not approach the animal, which is dangerous. Area. She immediately said yes. She went with her mother to the shores of Lake Tanganyika in Tanzania to start her new job, and it was not long before she made out a group of chimpanzees in the trees around an area now called the Gom Stream National Park. Argue. As Time magazine argues in its article in July 2023, unless we start to control how we use AI, kids will be the biggest losers. We may have seen some improvement in poverty and crime in recent decades, but why assume that this pattern will continue? I'd argue that for most people life is actually unlikely to get better. Arm. The old woman glanced at the man and stopped as she was walking past. "Stop!" he bellowed again. Then, he grabbed her by the arm. Around. She immediately said yes. She went with her mother to the shores of Lake Tanganyika in Tanzania to start her new job, and it was not long before she made out a group of chimpanzees in the trees around an area now called the Gom Stream National Park. Arrive. A criminal, John Torrell, was caught after he had escaped on the train to London. A telegram was sent to the London police, and they were waiting for him when he arrived there. Art. The art and science of choosing, preparing and appreciating food is known as gastronomy. Article. Understanding an article about how animals communicate. Study the grammar box and match the underlined phrases 1 to 11 in the article with the meanings from A to K. Read the article and study active reading. What opinions about communication does the author express? How far do you agree with him? As a child, Jane loved reading books about a fictional character called Dr. Dolittle, who could talk to animals. Perhaps this is what inspired her to go to Africa when she was in her 20s. Study the phrases highlighted in the article. Then complete the second sentence so that it means the same as the first. As soon as. How could a young English woman with no scientific training possibly make contact with a group of wild chimpanzees? At first, the animals ran away as soon as they saw her. But maybe because she knew very little about these wild animals, it is highly likely that her calmness gained their trust. Answer. In small groups, ask and answer the question. Assume. But although some of the more intelligent animals can figure out what we want them to do, we have long assumed that communication with, and between, animals must be limited. At the turn of the 20th century, bottles were found which had been sent by people who were traveling on board the Titanic. We use the past continuous, were traveling, for actions in progress at a specific time in the past. At. Look at the underlined examples of question tags from the dialogues. Then complete the sentences from 1 to 4 below with the words in the box. Attack. A father and son from Irbid tried out their device to protect swimmers from shark attacks. You won't believe what happened next. Attention. Rana has drawn my attention to a problem. Rana has pointed out a problem to me. Audience. It's vital to connect with the audience. You can do this through keeping good eye contact, engaging them with some surprising facts, saying something funny, or telling a personal anecdote, making your voice sound enthusiastic, using visual aids and props. Author. Read the article and study active reading. What opinions about communication does the author express? How far do you agree with him? Remember that you can form your own opinion, rather than uncritically accepting what the author has to say. Available. Advances in robotics and artificial intelligence will not only reduce the number of UN-skilled jobs available, but will also eliminate semi-skilled jobs which can be done by a computer. Avoid. Active listening can also help you to avoid conflict. Away. How could a young English woman with no scientific training possibly make contact with a group of wild chimpanzees? At first, the animals ran away as soon as they saw her. But maybe because she knew very little about these wild animals, it is highly likely that her calmness gained their trust.